Hey everybody, welcome to Everyday Fi. I'm your host Megan Combs, and I'm here to say that you do not need a $1 million book deal or a famous blog to reach financial independence. By exploring the lives of everyday people pursuing Fi, I'll show you how to forge your own path to financial freedom the everyday way. Today is part one with my friend Eric, who I actually met at Camp Fi Spain. You'll get to hear the gripping tales of his time in the military as a United States Marine Corps combat helicopter pilot, including his special ops missions and deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. We also talk about the challenges of his late wife's battle with cancer and how that led him to meet his new wife, Alise. Eric talks about how early retirement has really opened a new chapter for him and Alise, with travel and a focus on a peaceful life over the hustle and bustle. He also reflects on his family's approach to finances, the lessons he learned from his parents about money, and how his own financial journey evolved over time. Tune in to hear more of Eric's story after these advertisers, who I do not choose nor do I condone. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. So today I'm going to be talking to my friend Eric, and I actually met Eric at Camp Fi with him and his wife, and it was so much fun. He has such great stories, and I'm so excited to talk to him today because I know we're just going to be giggling and like laughing together because he's so much fun. Hey Eric, how you doing? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Good. Thanks, Megan, for having me on here. And it was great meeting you guys over there in Spain and having all that fun and changing names with you for a while.
I remember that, yeah. So we all had name tags, and Eric and I decided to switch because obviously I'm not Eric and he's not Megan. And people were like, what? They like did double takes. It was really funny. I
Oh, yeah.
remember that part.
Some guests were like really concerned about us.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody hasn't been to like a Camp Fi, you don't have to go to the Spain or the Italy ones that are happening, but definitely go to one of them because they are so much fun
Oh,
and
yeah.
you meet such great people. Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? Tell us a little bit about your life now, what you've done in the past, job, career, yeah, all that stuff.
Okay. So, yeah, I grew up in a small town, North Dakota, called Dickinson out in the Southwest. And there it snows 9 months out of the year. So when it comes to summertime, I'm really happy and I don't care where I'm at. I'm in the desert or in Georgia. But right now we're settled here in northern Georgia, north of Atlanta, part of the suburbs out here. And I was a United States Marine Corps combat helicopter pilot for I did Marine Corps for 22 years, but I was a pilot for 18 years and I did some special ops work before that, before they made me a pilot. So I got to see quite a bit of the world, quite a bit of Asia and the Middle East, and a little bit of South America. But they never sent me to Europe, so I had to make up for that. So we've been retired for, I retired back in 2018, so it's been about 7 years of retirement, and it's been its own adventure.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Super jealous. How old were you when you retired?
I was 45.
Okay, I have hope. Okay,
Yes.
so you don't have to retire at 30, y'all. You can still retire in your 40s and still be early retired. No, that's
Yes.
great. So, what kind of adventures are you having now that you're retired?
We're traveling everywhere. My wife, Alise, and I have been making sure that we at least leave the country once a year to go explore, broaden our horizons, and just really appreciate the beautiful side of the world versus how my eyes used to be with the two wars, all the intelligence of living in Japan and seeing the reports coming in to me on a military level where you're like, this is an ugly world, man. But this retirement has really opened my eyes to really appreciate the beauty of it versus the ugliness of it.
Yeah, that's really a good point. And would you care or be willing to share a little bit more about your time in the military and kind of like the juxtaposition of that and the ugliness of that versus the beauty of what you're living now?
Yeah. So I dropped out of college when I was 23 and I joined the Marine Corps saying I wanted to be part of the special ops units. I did the indocs and I got sent over to what's called a boat raid unit where we take those nice 8 or 14-foot rubber boats and we secretly flow into a country and we do our secret squirrel stuff and come out with the objective done and get back to our ship or the Navy ship, so we can go on to our next mission. But that's pretty much compared to the really stellar, super sneaky guys. That was pretty cool for me. But yeah, I got to be on a ship going through the Pacific Ocean and seeing the Asian countries and seeing the Middle East and seeing the Middle Eastern countries and seeing how other people live and all that stuff. And then I got one of my battalion commanders, who was a great mentor to me, saw the potential in me, and he was like, I want you to become an officer. I'm like, dang, I'm enjoying doing what I do. I'm an operator. I'm a trigger puller. I'm this. He goes, all right, how about if I make you a pilot? You can be a grunt of the skies. How about that? And I'm like, yeah, right. You give me a contract and I'll sign it. Sure enough, I got a contract, and I went up to Quantico for officer candidate school down in Pensacola to go to flight school. Somehow survived that with the grace and help of my peers who were engineers and aerodynamic type people. So they helped me through that. And then by the time I got my check ride done, I was 24 hours in Iraq right after we took Baghdad. And so it was just that shocking view when you could leave Southern California and you go all the way to started off in Kuwait where we're based. And then, flying up the river to Baghdad and just seeing the whole change of scenery, change of world concepts, change of just culture itself. And you really have to understand Middle Eastern culture and how that all plays out and works. And let's see, I did 3 deployments. That's kind of like covering from 2003 to 2007. And we were a casualty evacuation squadron. So we flew in some of the gnarliest times to pick up the injured and wounded and dead. And it was probably the best mission that a Marine could have and to be able to be proud, to come home proudly and say, I did my effort to save lives. But, it takes its toll on yourself. And it's like, you see that ugliness of what people do to each other. And so after having that part of the war, I became a flight instructor and enjoyed the time back home with my late wife, Wendy, because she was diagnosed with cancer on that 3rd deployment. So I came home on normal schedule, plus that 3rd deployment. It was such a nightmare. I lost a group of friends to a surface-to-air missile. We had funerals when I got back, and then it was just a change, needed for a change. And so being a flight instructor was great. Spending time with Wendy on our last few years was great. And then when I lost her, it was time for me to get back into it. Went to Afghanistan, worked with a lot of great people out there trying to create a better lives for the local communities out there, nation build. Oh, I don't like to call it nation building. I call it community building because we were just working the Southern Strip. That's somebody else's political plan. We were just trying to get the basics. So after that experience, I got fortunate enough to be in front of the right people to go to the last squadron of my helicopter, and I got to go down South America and work with some great people down in South America. We taught them how to use military equipment with civilians and teach them how they can use it to save lives and use their ships as floating hospitals after hurricanes or earthquakes or tsunamis. And they loved what we did with them. It was a great time. And then the Marine Corps found out how much time I was based out of California and sent me to Japan. Now, in that time, somehow, after I lost Wendy to cancer, I met Alise, my current wife, who was a widow as well, and we were each other's support persons. And then we decided to start dating, and then we moved in with each other. And then when I said, hey, they want to send me to Japan, you want to come with? She was like, hells yeah, I do. And so we got to go to Japan, and while I worked, she got to create a great community of people with her, and we got to travel when I got time to travel, and we enjoyed what we could of Asia. And then the Marine Corps was like, thank you for the service. You've got too much time in. We need to start reducing. Go on and do great things. And so Elise and I were like going, the world's wide open. Where do we want to live? And so University of Georgia said, hey, we'll take you for your MBA course if you do some leadership lecturing here. And I was like, okay. And so it's kind of decided that Georgia would be the place that we'd settle down for the time being. And then we just love our community. We love our neighborhood. We love the fact that we have an airport that gets us everywhere in one shot. And we love our Delta miles. I know it's not cost effective, but we love the idea that we have the ability to do these things now.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's such an incredible journey. And, what struck me when I met you is I heard all of this, of course, way more in depth because we spent a lot of time together.
Mhm.
And I was so amazed by how many struggles you went through, but how positive and light and happy of a person you are. Like, you were the kind of person, and I know people can't see this, but like that you light up a room. Like, you just have this like effervescence about you that I just find incredible in general, but even more incredible knowing the struggles you went through. So I wanted people to hear that because I knew like they would hear that side of your story and then the rest of what we're going to talk about. And you can see it's just incredible to me. So anyway, I'm going to stop gushing.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I never think of myself like that. I always think of myself as that spaz who just scares everyone away.
You're
No,
no, now you can call yourself effervescent. It's,
effervescent. I like that.
yeah. Great. Okay. So, what I'm curious about, you said you dropped out of college and you were interested in special ops. And so, I'm curious, like, what drove you to make that decision?
So growing up, my dad was before I was born, he was a Army counterintelligence guy. And, he had some real interesting stories of his time in Vietnam and in Southern California doing his job. And, that was one of the things that kind of got me interested in it. The other thing is growing up being a young boy in the 80s, and we had the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, the Clint Eastwood movies, Sylvester Stallone movies, all these tough guy movies. And me and my friends, we were going to be these guys. This is what we were going to do. We're going to leave this iceberg called North Dakota and we're going to go out and change the world. Only I did it, I guess. But
Your other like friends did it.
maybe one other. Clifton did. Clifton joined the Navy eventually after I joined the Marine Corps. But, it's just funny. Everyone else became people are part of the communities. They either stayed in Dickinson and because there were opportunities there, or they found their opportunities in Fargo, Denver, or Minneapolis. That's as part of most people would spread away from Dickinson. But for me, I needed to get away as far as possible because, to be honest, I didn't fit in. I didn't like being there. And as soon as I had the opportunity to think my way through how I could do it, I took those opportunities when they presented themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's sounds like, did you have a major in college and you just were like, you know what, this isn't gonna do it for me. I need to get out, out, out.
Yeah.
And I know I can do this with the military. Is that kind of what your thinking was like? Or
Yeah. So my major. So first, I went to college because I got a scholarship. So I was a track runner and a cross country runner, and I earned scholarship for that. And I didn't really have. Well, I thought I was going to be an engineering type, but no, I didn't do so well in my chemistry class. So I decided to become a theater major. And
oh my God, I love it. I am not surprised. I'm not surprised. That's amazing.
yeah, so I became a theater major. I was an actor, I was a tech guy. Most of it was a culminating point of just when I transferred over to the University of Minnesota Duluth, I was a directing guy. I directed 3 shows, but I still worked on my technical side. I still practiced my acting side. I had all these sides to me, but when it comes down to it, there's nothing great about being not only the starving student, but you have to suffer for your art, was what the saying is in theater. And oh my God, I was like, I can't suffer anymore. I have to take charge of my life. It was great to follow this crowd, to be part of this crowd, to have a talent that I didn't realize how good I was all around, to be impactful, but I didn't trust the system to work for me. So, and then also at the same time, it was my 5th year in, so my second senior year, but my younger brother, who went to school to be a diesel mechanic and an auto technician, got his AA degree and got a $48,000 job in Africa. And I was like, what am I doing wrong here? He's
Yeah,
younger
super
than me.
jealous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's younger than me. He's making more money than me. His company's buying him trips all over the world. I'm like, I got to do better than this. So always wanted to be a Marine growing up, and I thought that would be the best time to try to see if I had what it took. Now, the problem was I was 6 foot tall, 124 pounds. that looks really
You were a string bean.
exactly.
I weigh 20 pounds more than that right now.
Oh, wow.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I went to boot camp, they had me on triple rations and they had me in the dirt pushing every
Bulk
day.
up.
Oh,
Bulk
yeah.
up.
I went from 124 to 165 pounds in that 3 months. And I was like, okay, so far so good. And then you start getting into it. Everything that I learned in college was all wrong. Everything I thought I knew was going, it was all wrong because by the time I was back done with all the schools, I was in the fleet, I was doing the things with these new guys who ranged from age 17 to age 25. And I was 23 at the time. And it was my good friend Lazzaroni who was like, hey, come with me. Let's have a talk. Let's go for a walk. We're going to have a talk. And I was like, okay. And he really set me straight about, hey, I don't know what was going on in your life before, but you're here now. You made it here. We need you to be this guy. And it was really a lot of soul searching of how I was this selfish theater geek, self-centered to, hey, you're part of a larger team that needs you to be taking care of them more than yourself. And so when I learned that from Lazzaroni, it was like one of the best things that happened for me. I mean, we became such fast friends because of that conversation. And you'll find that my closest friends are the ones who are not afraid to tell me, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. Just tell me exactly what it is line by line. I will figure out how to fix it. And I've had great people in my life that were, as soon as I told them that, they were like, there was no whispers or talks behind the back. It was, hey, this needs to get fixed, man. We need you here. And so I had some great friendships that helped me become a better person, a better Marine, a better pilot, and a better leader. So,
Yeah, I love that. I'm still thinking about you at 6 foot and 124 pounds. No, that's great. And it's great that you actually took the feedback or the lesson or the conversation and took it to heart, because some people would just be like, whatever, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I don't care. And so it's really amazing that you actually went with it and that you not only went with it in that moment, but also encourage it from your friends. So I will make sure to tell you when you're annoying me. No.
no worries. No, trust me. And it's not perfect. Trust me. I've had times
Yeah.
where I've gotten feedback and I don't want to hear it. And it's human nature. I just have to pay attention to, hey, this is kind of important to somebody, especially when it's at home. Calm down, Eric. Don't defend yourself. Just hear what they got to say. And so we're working on those things.
Yeah, I think it's important for everybody to work on that too. And yeah, we're all human. Like, we all sometimes get defensive when people are like, hey, you're doing a thing that's not really working for me. And you're like, no, I'm not. So yeah, I love that. Cool. Okay. So we mentioned a little bit about your dad being in the military, and that kind of drew you into that. So I want to kind of talk about your money origin story, I like to call it, like
Yeah.
your superhero origin story. And so I like to start with what some of your earliest money memories are that you can recall.
So the earliest one I can recall was when my mom pulled a little pouch, a little vinyl pouch out with a zipper, and it came out of her dresser, and she's showing me, this is yours. And I was like, okay. And she opened it up, and it was like $2 bills collected, dollar coins, 50-cent coins. She was teaching me how to count. I think it was 4 or 5. And she's teaching me how to count the money and all that stuff. And I was like, this is mine. And then I have a mathematic head. I think it's just because of genetics in my family. But I could tell you the increase, decrease of that pouch and, off the top of my head. But it was when I was probably around 7 or 8. I just remember Mom sitting on the couch with a checkbook and all the bills. And I was like, teach me. What are you doing? And she's like, okay, you want to know. And so I would look as she's writing the checks and the bills. And then she, showing me where she puts it on the checkbook register. And I would see all the other numbers. And I was like, going, that's interesting. It's like, bills only cost this much and we bring in this much? And she's like, don't think that way. I'm like, why? Because half of this is your dad's retirement and that's where it goes. And I was like,
What a
Oh,
smart lady. I love that. You're like, oh, we're bringing in this one. She's no, no, don't do it. Don't fall into that trap. Oh, I love it. I
oh
love it.
yeah. Oh yeah. And so I really had to learn just knowing the numbers and not understanding why we appeared to live poorly. Begging dad for just, I'm playing basketball. Can I have a decent pair of basketball shoes? Or I became a good track runner, and it took his friends. In fact, one of those friends owned a athletic store, and it was like, Rod, buy the kid a decent pair of shoes. He's going places. And so it was those moments that I remember, but it showed me the discipline it needed, but I didn't take until it was in the Marine Corps, because I thought, oh yeah, money comes real easily to me. And no, it doesn't. It's dad's rich. I'm not. That lesson was tough to learn during college, but important when I got to the Marine Corps and made a real little paycheck that we got back then, and then just understanding as it grew it and making it worth something. But being in that house of dad brought home the money, mom took care of us and showed us how the money was spent and controlled. And it was always a conversation between those two. And heaven forbid if you ever spoke up, well, why can't we do this? No, this is their conversation. You're the kids.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm curious. So I know your mom was like, okay, don't think this way about money. That's half your dad's retirement. So one thing that struck me about that is it's just your dad's retirement. What about her retirement? That's one thing that struck me. And the other thing is I'm wondering, how was her demeanor as she was paying bills? And the reason why I ask this is because when my mom paid bills, she was not in a, here, let me show you. She was in a, oh my God, stressed out, like angry, kids get out of the room, trying to do the
Oh,
thing. So, like,
really?
yeah. So I'm curious what your mother's demeanor was. It seems not like that.
No, it was more, and I mean to tell to even today, it's just a chore we do. It's like I got cooking or cleaning the house. It was I gotta go pay the bills, and she'd just sit there on the couch and with the things all laid out, and she was pretty good about hiding what feelings she had when it was just us and my brothers around. But they've had heated discussions where it's like on simple things they're just trying to dial in better. They always agreed on things. Dad encouraged her to take some trips, but she also had a value because her parents are in Pasadena, and Dickinson in Pasadena was about, back in the 80s was a $500 plane ticket. And, it was not an easy thing for her. She knew the value of money, and she's like, no, I can't spend $500 to go visit my parents. Dad's like, why? This is an opportunity. We have the money. You have an opportunity here. And mom had a little bit of not stingy, but, just a
Scarcity.
Yeah, scarcity mindset. Now, when she got older, she was the first person to have all the brand new tech. I don't know when that
That's
flipped.
so interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a great story involved my wife and being drugged by my mom going, take me to Fry's. I got to get the new computer, the new Surface. And poor Lisa's like, what are you dragging me into? This is not fair.
That's so funny. So
Oh, yeah.
is your dad still around?
Yeah, so mom and dad
Yeah.
they still live in Dickinson, North Dakota. I just got back from helping them out after the summer. Dad, 80 years old, is still independent. I mean, he drug his own hot water heater down into the basement, changed it out, took the old one out and threw it out. And I'm like, Dad, you can hire people to do that. And he goes, why? I can do it myself.
But they're big. Like, you mean the big
50,
tanks?
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Nope.
No, I know.
I would not do
I'm
that
like,
now.
I know. It's like, you can hire people to do these things for your dad. It's like, but why? I'm like, oh gosh, please do something.
Because you're 80 and you could fall and hurt yourself. Yeah, I get it. I have a dad who is also almost 80. He's 78. So, and he still does all, he's like, why would I hire somebody when I know how to do it? And I'm like, I could imagine that it would be very hard to admit that you're old. Like, when is that line, right? If you don't feel old and your brain is still functioning at like the same level it was around 35, 40, I guess I could see that, but I don't know.
I know, and that's where when he talks about his independence, I do not want to take away his independence. I don't want to take away his young mindset. I get to, I get the privilege every time I go back home where he'll bring me with to have coffee with his friends, and they're in their 80s and they're all on farms independently. I'm like going, guys, don't you have kids that are going to take over these places?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And you're like, how the heck, And so they're understanding their limitations, all that stuff. They do fight the aging and they don't want the old man to creep into their brains. And I get that because I don't want it either. I mean, at 52, spending 3 hours in the gym just to keep myself being functional where I can, or as I tell Alise, we trained for this trip or we trained for these chores or just because we took care of ourselves.
Yeah, I remember you and Chris during Camp Fi, like comparing what you guys do in the gym and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to remember, Chris is he's 18, 17 years younger than,
Oh, I know.
right?
Right. But
Yes.
I still want to know what his numbers were. I mean,
yeah. He has the blessings of genetics where he just like has a really low heart rate already, just genetically. He's got that kind of stamina going for him. So that helps. But anyway, I always thought that was so funny because it was just cute. Okay. So I think you touched on this a little bit, but I'm curious about, you said your parents, the way they talked about money with some of it sounded like their siblings was sometimes fraught, but how did they talk about money with each other or with you or their other kids if you had siblings?
So yeah, I got 3 other brothers and we ranged in age. This is same parents. No, it's myself. Then my next brother is 2 years younger than me. Then there's a big gap, 15 years younger than me, 13 years younger than Mike. So, and then another gap at 1.5. So that's 7. So I was a junior in high school when the youngest was born. And so we had this huge diversity and, a lot of changing times. I mean, you raise 2 Gen Xers and then you're raising 2 millennials. The conversations change, everything changes. I mean, it's a different world, different tech dynamics they got to deal with. The only thing that Mark and I ever had to worry about was getting bullied or things like that. And then when the younger 2 were born, they had to worry about technology and getting bullied. And then, all these things that just make parents stay up late at night. And so talking money was universally the same, though. It was the same concept of, do you have enough for this? And it's like, no, then I guess you're not getting it. And so, it was that rule of like, oh, I want this tape or I want this CD. And the question was, well, do you have the money for it? And it's like, but can't you buy it for me? It's like, no, if you want it, you'll figure a way to get the money. And so that was a lesson. I remember I got a Christmas gift where it was a boombox, a little boombox. And I was mistakenly parked my bike right by the boombox. I was shooting hoops. Basketball hit the bike, smashes the boombox, and I was like, I need a new boombox. And Dad's like, you got the money? And so I spent that whole year trying to figure out how to make money to buy myself a new boombox so I can listen to music while shooting basketball and all those other things. And so that, because music, for me to get away from the TV, that boombox was everything. It was the whole reason. Dad's like, you don't watch TV anymore. It's like, of course not. I got music now. And so those were the money lessons that I had to learn. And not being around for the youngest 2, I didn't really see much change in that dynamic. But there were times where I could see Mom bringing something in for them or sneaking something in for them that they wanted or something like that. And Mark and I are like going, well, that's not fair. We didn't get that type of stuff. And it's like they're, either parents get worn down or, kids are just more forceful. I don't know. But, it's just a dynamic change in which, the parents had to adjust to the kids and the time that they had. And, they were older parents with the 2 youngest. And so I never faulted on them for changing the way they taught money. But at the same time, we were like on, that's not fair type. So we managed.
Yeah. Is it okay? So this is why Gen Xers hate millennials.
Gosh, no, I hate millennials because they whine all the time about.
Hey, I'm a millennial.
Okay, but there's 2 millennials, and I had a great friend who taught us generational things because as a flight instructor, we were trying to teach millennials how to fly. We brought in this guy, this professor who knew generations, and he goes, millennials break off into two ways. They want it really bad and they work hard for it, or they don't care and they just want to lay around and do nothing. And I go, well, I know where my two brothers are.
Oh, where are they?
They were like that.
Oh no.
They were. They're better now. They are so much better now. They achieved so much in their growth. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of where they came from when I remember them as young teenagers to where they're now in their 30s, having their own families, having their own jobs. And geez, I think the youngest is making more than all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's kind of interesting that your family dynamic is a reflection of almost how society was. So, like, Gen Xers were raised in a certain way, a little bit more stoic, like you had to have the money to buy what you wanted. Whereas millennials, I feel like a lot of the parents who raised millennials gave them a lot more and then also told them all they were all special. Everybody got a trophy type of thing. And so that really did not set up millennials for success sometimes. Like you said, they are split into two where some of them work really hard and some of them don't. And I mean, I'm not faulting anybody, but I just think it's interesting. That's exactly what happened with you and your younger siblings. It's like you guys didn't get anything and then they were getting more stuff. And I wonder if that feeds into some of this. Like, when you are given things so easily, and even the information that's out there is so much more easily given because you have the internet, right? And you can just Google stuff. You don't have to go to the library and look it up and learn how to read a card catalog and all of that. Like some of us millennials remember that because I'm an older millennial. So like I remember when there wasn't internet. I do remember that.
Are you a Zennial?
Well, so I'm 87. I'm 1987. So I'm like in the middle towards the older. I think 81 is the beginning of the millennials, or is it 1980? I forget. But anyway, yeah. So I'm a more older millennial. So I was like 12 or 13 when AOL Instant Messenger was out. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just interesting that your story kind of reflects that a little bit.
Well, I always made the joke that the four of us kind of make the cross section of the U.S. population because between what I did growing up or did after leaving parents' house to what my brother Mark, who's now in Idaho, who's a free spirit. He worked mountain bike guides for a while. Now he's up in Idaho doing great work up there, working with the young youth out there, now driving a big earth hauler trucks. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. It's like, those are the things we dreamed about when we were kids. And then compared to the other one is a free, not a free spirit, but he's like, he wanted things done his way, but I understand why people get understand. As soon as he learned the secret, he turned it around. He got his degree. He got himself a good job. And then the youngest was like, I'm going to find a way. He was Mr. Google. I mean, it was like, he'd get mad at us if we asked him how to do something. He goes, can't you just Google it? And I'm like, yes, I can Google it. I just thought.
Yeah. I know people who say, just Google it. Yeah. I even tell my parents that. My mom asks me like how to do a thing. I'm like, did you Google it?
Oh, yeah. You get hit with the technology questions all the time from the parents?
Well, not my mom so much because she's a little bit better at it. But yeah, sometimes, can you help me with this? Because I can't figure it out. And I would love to teach a person how to fish type of thing, but you're here, do it for me. And I'm like, sure, I'll help you. And even she's on her phone and she's, I can't figure out how to do this. And I was like, and then I'm like, boop. And she's like, how did you do? It's just really funny. And I'm like, because I'm a millennial. Although I did not get a cell phone until I was 19 and it was like a flip, like Razor phone.
Yeah.
So
that Razor phone was awesome.
Hell yeah, Motorola. I feel bad for the generations today who like had a phone to their ear when they were born. I can't imagine. At least we had childhoods where we went out and got dirty and there was no computers. Yeah, sure, there was TV, but it was cable. So you had to be inside at certain times to watch it. You couldn't just go and watch it whenever because it's Netflix or something. Like you had certain parts of the day where it was TV time, certain parts of the day where you go out and play. And so that was... I'm being very nostalgic. I grew up in the 90s, so freaking great.
If you ever see my video about the 90s, you'd be yelling at me.
Okay, we're going to link that in the show notes.
Oh, no.
What is this video about? Can you
So,
describe what is it about?
So, on my Leadership Developed YouTube channel, I was talking about why I hate the 90s and all the whining, blaming, pointing fingers and all that stuff. And
You're killing me.
well, killing me. Ooh, my younger Marines that used to work for me who were born in the 90s all poured in on the comments going, that's our childhood. These guys are great. And I'm like, man, everyone blamed their parents for being messed up. They never took accountability for themselves.
It is their fault. Whatever, Eric. It's the parents' fault.
I'm like, everyone's listening to grunge, and I'm over here with Nine Inch Nails going, what are you guys whining about? Nine Inch Nails, it says it all for me.
Did you know that there are actually kids today who like are into Nine Inch Nails and wear the Nine Inch Nails t-shirts, and then they have the Gen Xer parents who are like, oh yeah, I love Nine Inch Nails, and they're like, no you don't understand Nine Inch Nails, and the parents are like, excuse me, I was around when Kurt Cobain was alive, thank you very much. So.
Exactly. In fact, so I went to an executive MBA course in Athens. Well, it starts in Athens, but then we go downtown to Atlanta to do the regular courses.
Oh, Athens, Georgia. I was like, sorry. Athens. Okay.
Oh, no. I haven't done Athens, Greece yet. No, Athens, Georgia. Go Dogs. So I was my second day there. And during lunch, we went walking up and down the strip off campus. And I wanted to get some UGA, football jersey or shirt and all that stuff. And I saw this one shirt that I thought was cool. Nobody else would ever have because they made, especially made, and he was making it, but he was jamming to Nine Inch Nails. And I'm like going, you like this stuff, huh? He goes, oh yeah. It's like, yeah, I was listening to this too when I was in college. He's like, aren't you in college now? I'm like going, I was also in college in the 90s.
Yeah. I've been in college a few times.
Oh yeah. And he's like going, what was it like? Did you ever see? I was like, Trevor never put the light on him. It was always backlit, shadowed with this big video screen. If you ever went to these concerts, and it was like, oh, that was for me. That was the type of music I liked. And by the time I was old enough to get my own concert tickets, those are the places I'd like to go.
Yeah. I think I've seen some recordings of the concerts. Obviously, I was not old enough to go to these concerts because, in the year 2000, I turned 13. So like I was a kid in the 90s. And I forget when Cobain died, but I think it was in the 90s actually.
90, I'm not,
99,
I need to fact check
98. Yeah, I'd have to Google it, but whatever. Yeah, I was definitely not old enough to be going to concerts like that.
No, so you're listening to Closer in your teenage years. That
yeah. So so I did a weird thing where like I was listening to like pop music when I was in middle school, Britney Spears and NSYNC and all that crap. And then in high school, I started going through my I hate the world type of phase with the purple hair, and I pierced my eyebrow with a safety pin.
Yeah, purple hair. I want to see your purple hair.
I did have purple hair. I did.
You gotta flash that on.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I could put like it in the show notes somehow. I don't know. But anyway, I had purple hair. It was fun. And and I started listening to like pop punk, Nine Inch Nails, and things like System of a Down and all of that kind of music. So because I was like, I don't like my parents because they messed me up.
No.
Yes, I was the epitome of angsty millennial teenager.
You can be angst in your teens. You're supposed to be angst in your teens because that's the character you're building, but you're now the responsible lady.
Yes, I do not blame my parents for my anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So at least not as much. I'm just kidding. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit subscribe and leave a quick rating. Also, hit up my Patreon at patreon.com/everydayphi-podcast for ad-free and bonus content coming in 2026. I'm Megan Combs, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Phi.